Magandang buhay and a wonderful learning time again, grade 9. Yes, this lesson is all about judging how sound a reasoning is. Once again, this is your Cordillera teacher Johnson saying, empowering learners through simplified instruction for meaningful education. This lesson is anchored in the following objective. Number 1 is for you to judge the relevance of ideas and the soundness of reasoning. However, we are only going to focus on the soundness of reasoning. So expect that as we dive deeper in discovering soundness of ideas, you will know how judging soundness of ideas must be done. Now, how do we really know if what we hear, what we read or watch is correct? This is a real life question that we can answer throughout this lesson. So join me as we uncover the answer for this question. Let us start by forming a meaningful word based on the jumbled letters. Yes, easy peasy. The word is sound. This word, sound, is the base form of the word soundness. Later on, we will get to find out what is meant by sound in this lesson. Sound. Sound has a lot of meanings. How is sound defined in this lesson? It could be a noun, which means sensation perceived by the sense of hearing. So this may mean the sound that we hear. Or it could be a verb, to cause to sound like the beating of a gong. And there's another meaning when it's used as a verb, to put into words, or sounding out letters or words when you speak. Thirdly, sound can be an adjective. It could mean free from injury. Or in other words, we may mean a healthy person. That's why we have the term sound mind and sound body, meaning you are free from injury mentally and physically. Or it could also mean free from error or fallacy. In simple terms, it could only mean that an information is correct, free from error or fallacy. In this lesson, we are going to define sound as the adjective, which means free from erroneous information. So when we say sound reasoning, we mean that ideas are not false and not incorrect, meaning the information should be correct. And we all need this lesson because, like I said before, many information circulate through social media. We also see fake news in print media, fake news through the internet as a whole. And if we are not careful, we might believe fake news as factual information. The worst is when we share wrong information, just imagine the negative effect it will have in our society. Therefore, it's very important for us to determine if an information is sound or not. That is why, in the advent of information and technology, we must practice critical thinking. What is this critical thinking? How do we do it? First, we must learn how to analyze writers' ideas and reasoning. Secondly, we must know if the information presented to us is logical and supported by factual information. So we really have to question the things that we watch, the things that we read, and the things that we're listening to. As we have said before, not everything that is present on our internet, even in our television sometimes, in print media, are correct. So it's our duty to question the veracity, the factuality, and correctness of these information. So what do we really mean when we say soundness of author's reasoning? An author's reasoning is sound if the explanation of the author include evidence from different sources. Therefore, whenever we read something or watch or hear something, we should look for proof or evidences. This may be statistics, research data, or anything that could support the idea of a particular author. And this could come from different sources. Secondly, it is a reasoning that follows logic and can be easily understood by readers, viewers, or listeners. What do we mean when we say it follows logic? It only means that the ideas are organized from the beginning until the end of a particular information. Right? And then, when we say easily understood, we only mean that the words used are simple and clear. So these are the characteristics of a sound idea. It should be organized. It should use simple words so that it will be clear for us to understand, and it should include evidences. Alrighty, let's have our next slide. Criteria for judging soundness. When we judge the reasoning or how people explain their ideas, we consider 4 criteria. We begin with looking for evidences. And then the second thing is we look for clarity. Thirdly, we look for effectiveness of information. And lastly, we look at the speech or idea development of the author. Let us tackle them one by one. Always remember, these are the 4 criteria for judging soundness: evidence, clarity, effectiveness, and speech or idea development. The first criteria: judging soundness of reasoning through looking for evidences. So when we say evidence, we are looking for a proof that makes an argument valid. How do we look for evidences? Look at here. We should look for data, we should look for statistics, examples, and studies. What is our guide question? We just ask ourselves, was there sufficient use of evidence like data, statistics, and examples? If the answer is yes, then that information meets the criteria of having good evidences. To illustrate looking for evidences, let us have this sample text. From Manila in January 23, 2009. Extensive logging is blamed for severe flash floods that submerged large parts of the southern island of Mindanao this month. At least 35 people died and farms and infrastructure suffered severe damage, officials said. According to the National Disaster Coordinating Council (NDCC), more than 750,000 people had been affected by flash floods, and landslides battered the area from January 2 to 17. That is why logging must stop. The trees that are supposed to hold rainwater and loose boulders or rocks and soil from mountains are destroyed in the process. So what is the claim here? That extensive logging is causing severe flash floods and it's submerging the southern island of Mindanao this month, mid-January. And what are the evidences here? We could see that 35 people have died, 750 people had been affected by the flash floods, and what's the source here? NDCC. So we really look at this text and we find evidences. That is why we could say that this particular reading material has practiced the use of evidences. So look at the claim, look at the evidences. If you could do that, then the text you're reading or watching or listening to has evidences. Alright. And we all need this lesson because, like I said before, many information circulate through social media. We also see fake news in print media, fake news through the internet as a whole. And if we are not careful, we might believe fake news as factual information. The worst is when we share wrong information, just imagine the negative effect it will have in our society. Therefore, it's very important for us to determine if an information is sound or not. Magandang buhay and a wonderful learning time again, grade 9. Yes, this lesson is all about judging how sound a reasoning is. Once again, this is your Cordelia Rana teacher Johnson saying, empowering learners through simplified instruction for meaningful education. Alright, we have effectiveness. How is effectiveness different from evidences and clarity? So when we say effectiveness, the speech engaged the audience or readers, encouraging them to consider the presenter's viewpoints through sufficient use of examples and opinion. So what is the question that we ask ourselves if we're looking into effectiveness? Was there sufficient use of logic, examples, or expert opinion? And another thing is, you have to ask yourself, did this particular text arouse my interest? If the answer is yes, then it's effective. And if there is sufficient use of logic and examples and expert opinion, then it also has effectiveness. Now, using the same example from evidences and judging the clarity towards looking at the effectiveness of an author's reasoning, let's take a look at the same example. So, as we have said a while back, we looked into how engaging the information is, and we could say that this example arouses interests in a way that at the beginning of it, it's claiming that extensive logging really is causing severe flash floods in southern Mindanao. And it also includes proofs, examples, and experts were quoted. Who are the experts here? We have NDCC. So we are not looking into an information that is being researched by ordinary people, but it's really looked upon by a particular agency or organization that looks over the disaster coordination in our nation. Therefore, this example is very much adherent to the effectiveness of information. Let's have the last criteria for judging the soundness of author's reasoning. Right, we have speech development. How is this different from the other three? Speech development has something to do with the way the speaker puts ideas together so the audience can understand them. The response is structured around a purpose, and this structure must include an opening, body, and conclusion. So, what is the question that you're trying to answer when you're looking at speech development? You are looking at the progression of ideas. Is there an opening? Is there a beginning? Is there a middle? Is there an ending of the way the author or speaker presented his or her ideas? If the answer is yes, then that information that you are looking into has speech development. Let us take a look at this example. It's the same example from the other three criteria, and we take a look at this. It has a start or it has a beginning wherein the issue of extensive logging is being blamed for severe flash floods. That's the beginning. And in the middle, we could take a look at the explanation. What are the evidences? It's already included in the middle information or at the body of that particular information. At the end has something to do with persuading the readers that logging must stop because it is affecting southern island of Mindanao to experience a lot of battered experiences such as flash floods and landslides. Alrighty, so that's what we mean by speech development. So let's have a review. What are the four criteria for judging the soundness of information? We consider the evidences. We look for evidences. And what else? Clarity. We look at how clear are the words, how clear is the purpose of the author, and what else? We look at the effectiveness, meaning we look at how arousing the information is and how is it well supported by facts. And lastly, we look at the speech or idea development wherein we are considering not just the purpose but also if that information has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Or we would say it has an opening, a body, and a conclusion. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the four criteria for judging soundness. If you have questions or if you have learnings, please type them on our comment section. I will try to read them and process them in our online classes. And of course, thank you very much for watching this tutorial video. I hope that you picked something that will help you understand the importance of looking into the soundness of authors' reasoning. Remember, we need to combat fake news, so we have to be critical thinkers. Thank you very much and God bless you. Please comment down your questions and your comments on our comment section. God bless, stay safe, and thank you very much once again.